We've all been there when we can't be asked to train and would rather lie in bed, struggle to find the motivation and actually enjoy the thought of training. I was feeling exactly like this last week, and I thought I should make a video to prove how you can change it all around in just 1 week. Combining all these little tips I discussed today together will give you the best chance of getting out of rut and forgetting this video ever existed. Oh, and I just want to say, these are the methods that help me get out of a rut, so it may not work for everybody, but I'm just making this video to try and help somebody get out of a rut and get some motivation back. You can find yourself in a rut due to many reasons, but at this moment in time it's totally irrelevant. I'll get onto the reasons and the solutions later in this video. Everybody knows they feel better after they've got up and trained or done something. You just can't be asked to do it. So I was the inspiration for this video idea. Last week it was easier for me to come home from work, lie in my bed and do f*** all instead of going to the gym or going for a run or just doing anything. But then that made me realise something. Most of the time, in my experience, the hardest step about doing anything is just taking the first little step. Just like stupid little things like putting my gym clothes in my bag the night before, or just getting everything out and ready, meaning I can go straight to the gym from work, which I don't have to come home, and that just minimises any of the chances of me lying on the bed and thinking, fuck that. So I know it's a cliche, but oftentimes the first step is the hardest one. But how hard is putting some clothes in the gym bag? The first step is often the most important one, but it's good to know that most of the time it's the smallest one too, depending on the subject. Every single big task in the world always starts with one smaller task. Take writing the book, for example. You have to start by writing one paragraph first before you can finish the whole book. I've already said about the gym clothes one in the bag, but another example is like putting your running shoes right in front of the door, so you practically have to trip over them to get out the door. That just encourages you to think, you know what, I'm going to put them on and I'm going to get out the door and go for a little run. Then set yourself a task of running a distance that you know full well you can do. I'm banging on about examples at the minute, so let's take 2k as an example. If you get to the end of that run and think, do you know what, I felt wicked, I could have carried on, then that's a great place to be in, because as you've just finished that session, you're already looking forward to the next session. But on the other hand, if you come to the end of that run and think, do you know what, I'm still in a rut, that didn't do anything for me, that brings me on to my second point. Maybe it's time for a change. And by this, I don't mean a massive drastic change, like changing sports altogether. Well, you could have a go at something new if that's what you've wanted to do. Like, I don't mean going from bodybuilding to ballet, that drastic. It could be as little as changing the gym split you're using or the session you do in the gym, or even just go to a new gym or one that you've used before, just switch it up a little bit. And again, I'm using another example, but that's how I think I can get my point across the best. But in this example, I'm using the gym, but it pretty much makes sense for anything. Go to a place you've never ran before, train with a training partner you haven't trained with in ages, or even a new one if you can, or join a sports club or something like that. And if that's too daunting, just ask a friend to go with you. I don't know about everyone else, but me personally, I train just as much for the mental benefits as I do the physical ones. And remember, you've got to enjoy it. Do what you enjoy. I mean, this goes without saying. The more you enjoy something, the more inclined you are to do it, and it'll take a lot less willpower to get up and do it. You think, oh, I've got to go and do that again. It'll be, oh, I can't wait to go and do that again. I enjoyed it last time. So unless you're like 10 or 11 weeks into a massive training block for a specific event, it's starting to do my head in a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Why not make enjoyment the primary factor of why you're going to do something? Or if that's not the case, make sure it's at least one of the reasons of why you're doing it. For a while, I was under the illusion I had to go to the gym to look good, whilst not really enjoying it that much. So don't do things for the wrong reasons. Make sure you enjoy it. Now I spoke about how to get yourself out of a rut. Now I'll talk about a few of the reasons why you might find yourself in one and how to avoid them. Like, for example, I'm loving examples in this one. You could have an holiday coming up and you know for a fact you'd be having one too many beers. That was a bit weird then, but I mean, not beers. And eat like a pig. Basically eat anything you want. And why shouldn't you? You're going on holiday. Like 2 years ago, if you'd told me to take my gym stuff on holiday, I'd have laughed in your face, thinking, why would I do that for? I'm going on holiday. But even if you train like once or twice on holiday, one, it will make you feel loads better when you go out on the night time, and then two, it'll just keep things ticking over so you won't have to start again when you get back home. This next one creeps up on you a little bit. Say if you finish like a 12-week marathon block or 16-week marathon block, you finish the race and now you think, oh, do you know what? I deserve a well-deserved rest. I need a well-deserved rest. And so you should take a rest. But then 1 week can turn into two into three, and so on. And then you find yourself thinking, what's the point in training? I've got nothing to train for, so I'm not going to get up and do anything. And this can be a great time to start something new, what you've wanted to do for ages, or just go to a spin class. That was the first thing that popped into my head. Just do something new, or something you've enjoyed the thought of but never done before. Try something new out. And trying something new is daunting. No matter who you are, it's going to feel daunting the first time you do something. But just take that first step and then see where you end up. Another thing is having an event or a race booked in the calendar. And by this I don't mean meaning as soon as you come out of one, go straight into another one, because then it'll just get repetitive, and then I think you'll just lose enjoyment in it all. Like having a little break, like say give yourself a couple of months off and then start the new training block. It gives you something to look forward to and motivates you again. This next one is just something to think about. How would you help somebody to get out of a rut if they asked you the question? Personally, I think this is a good way to look at a few situations, or most situations in life. I always think it's easier to give other people advice because it's not you personally who's going, I know I love the word personally at the minute, because it's not you going through the situation, so you can think with a bit more of a clear head, because you ain't got the emotions and shit going around in your head. You can think with a more clear head and give them a better answer. So imagine a friend asks you, how do I get out of a rut? And then think about the exact answer that you'd give to them, and then see if it'd work in your situation. This is basically stepping into an outside point of view, looking in on your own situation and thinking, what would I do if this was my mate? And then just use the same answer for that and then see if it works. So after all them little points put together, this may be obvious to say, but to get out of a rut, you need to take action. And you start by taking the first little small step, making that step as small as possible, and then just following on all the little steps after it. And then hopefully you gain some motivation back at the end. If you take that first small step and think, nah, I'm still in a rut, change things up like I said earlier, go down a different avenue, try something you've never done before, and then hopefully you start to gain some momentum and motivation in that avenue. But after all this, I've got to say, discipline trumps motivation, but that's a video for another day. I've tried to take this video down a slightly different direction, so whack that button if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see similar videos.